Welcome back to some of the most professional StarCraft 2. Dreamhack Valencia 2022, the first major tournament since I am Katowice. I am excited to introduce to you the only player in recent history in StarCraft 2 who's managed to accomplish anything outside of their main race. Not just a Zerg, but here, spawning as Protoss. Of course, it's Reynor. He actually beat DNS as a Zerg against Protoss in order to line up this match against the Korean opponent. Not a pushover himself, though sometimes overshadowed by the now Protoss on the other side of the map. Stargazers here. It is Solar. One of the most well-rounded players, but maybe not quite enough edges to cut through the sharp timings of Reynor and Serral and players like him. Solar feels like he's constantly trying to prove himself as the best of the best instead of the best of the rest. We'll see if he has an opportunity to do so. Reynor, for those who have not been following, and I think many of you have, recently in the ESL Cups, he's actually not just played, but won multiple ESL Cups against players like Clem, Big Gabe, Showtime, he won PvP. And then, of course, players like a Laser as Zerg as well. He's done it playing Protoss. He has a very Zerg-like style of Protoss as well. Very reliant on gateway units, on mass production, on greed. And in fact, his main weakness as Protoss so far has been keeping those key units alive, those power units that Protoss is reliant on, and instead leaning very heavily on masses of gateway units in order to make up for it. And honestly, much of the time it does work, and what better way? Now this is kind of like, this is the theory crafting mindset. By the way, I hope you guys, if you watched some of it live, I hope you enjoyed Dreamhack Valencia, and I hope you enjoy my commentary on it, as I look forward to bringing you the best and most exciting matches, which, yeah, we got the quarterly clusterfuck, we got Has versus Nice coming up later this week, and then, of course, all the highlights from the playoffs. Though, in order to avoid too many spoilers, I think we're going to cover a lot of the group stage matches and the qualifiers first, just to kind of relive those best moments. And if you have recommendations, I am all ears and, more importantly, eyes. So leave a comment. Otherwise, Oracle's coming out. What was I saying? Has versus Nice. Reynor. Gateway units. Ah, yes. What better way to beat a Zerg than to be a Zerg? And Reynor is probably, arguably, the best Zerg in the world. Of course, Serral is the routine challenger. I say Serral is probably a bit more of a well-rounded Zerg, but Reynor's always on the bleeding edge. And he's the only person who can stop Serral, so thankfully, Serral was not in Dreamhack Valencia. He actually didn't qualify because of Big Gabe. So I said, Reynor's the only person who can stop Serral, and then I immediately followed it by saying, somebody else stop Serral. So, moving right past that. We'll edit that, Jimmy, edit that part out. All right, we're just gonna, we edit, okay? That's what we do now. Thank you. Oh, Oracle in the third. Double Stargate Phoenix. It is Stargazers. A little bit of role-playing here from Reynor. There is a pocket base blocked off by a 40-strong mineral wall. Now, mineral walls are very different than your destructible rocks, as these can only be chipped away by the lowly workers. And since workers only return 5 minerals a trip, that's 8 trips for a worker. Which means it takes at least, like, probably a minute to mine through that, even if for some reason you slap the Nexus right next to it. Roach Warren is on the way. Melee attack for Solar. I haven't really been concentrating on what he's up to. Has Solar? No, he's seen just Oracle's surprise Phoenixes. A very different style from what we've seen from Reynor as Protoss before. I wonder if he's breaking it out because of the map or just one of those strats you have in your pocket. And that is a lot of playing Protoss against Zerg. I'm sure Reynor knows better than most. Oh my god, he knocks out the vision in that split second, looks to move the Phoenixes by, doesn't quite nail it. Solar comes in with a Zergling because that was incredibly suspicious timing to activate the Oracle. There are queens, but are there enough of them? There's some transfuses ready. Down goes a singular Overlord so far, but still a lot of energy. And it looks very clear that Solar wasn't sure what he was dealing with there. Otherwise, the Spore Crawlers would have been added on earlier. Maybe even a Hydra Den against this. Hydra Den, it feels almost like an all-in, unless you're headed towards Lurkers. Speaking of all-in, though, there were Lings and Banelings on the map. Solar does have 4 bases. There's very little in the way of defenses backing him. The Phoenix is scrambling back, but oh yeah, Force Field exists. Well, this is awkward. So when you lift up a Baneling and kill it, it actually splashes to the ground underneath. Wow. So this... I would say it was stopped, but that would imply it ever started. This did not go well. Reynor demonstrating why Baneling Bus not such a common choice against Protoss nowadays. It feels like Solar kind of forgot that Force Field exists, as he was so thrown off guard. How many Phoenixes? Roddy must be proud right now. Reynor was actually staying with Roddy for a little while, relatively recently. So, well, a dozen Phoenixes. And adding more, he's got 73 probes, plus 1 air. He's adding cannons in. I wouldn't be surprised to see a fleet beacon soon, but he's actually going full Warpius here. 8 more gates, including walling off the pocket base. We've got plus 1 air weapons. 6 drones go down as the Phoenixes pick up and knock down another mineral line. Lings and Banes, but a single Oracle. Reynor right now is in full command of this game. Solar, a lot of the early game Zerg is minimizing risk. It's minimizing how much damage you can take to a wide variety of shenanigans. Solar tried to kind of turn the tables on that. He tried to get some damage done, but the cost effectiveness of these Phoenixes cannot be overstated. There is no Spire for Corruptors. There is no Hydra Den. Well, that one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just the Queens. Spore Crawlers as well, but is Storm done? No, not quite. Not needed right now. Another Archon Morph. Reynor with some forward batteries. I do think we should see this more often. Because if all of your cannons and batteries are kind of clustered, they become a lot more vulnerable to things like Banelings, Ravagers, and also they kind of get in the way of your own units. Static defense is more support than a means to an end. It's always super interesting to see the take of players who don't usually play a certain race, and when they decide, instead of emulating others, to kind of chart their own course. Sometimes, a lot of the time, while it might be a good idea, the mechanics of the player just can't keep up. Like you might have some crazy ideas with how to play Protoss or Terran as a Zerg, but without enough experience, you're going to struggle to execute. Thing is, Reynor is almost literally the fastest, if not literally the fastest player in the world. Now, as Protoss, he's sitting at a balmy 400 actions per minute, compared to the 470 of Solar. But remember, Solar is making Zerglings, which literally require twice the APM of a Zealot per supply. Or is it 410? No, twice, because you build 2 Zerglings at a time. I'm a mathematician. Thing is, Reynor is nearly maxed out. Solar is maxed, but what kind of army is this? For Queens, Brenda? Zerglings, oh no! He's putting some Protoss mind tricks on him right now. Solar is scrambling. These are just Solar is not an amateur, but he's looking like it right now. He's been thrown off ever since those first banelings were stuffed at the door. Reynor has 94 probes. He's got the most solid defensive setup I think you could possibly have outside of a fleet beacon and carriers. He's going up to 17 gateways. And that's probably just because he ran out of money or space to build them. And Artosis...
Who does that?
He's building them all in a beautiful pylon over here. Storm. The queens are marching. Brenda! What? I know we don't do this much anymore, Susan, but we have no choice. We did not prepare for the phoenixes. So, here we go. Well, this is an optimistic attack. Between Archons, Phoenixes, and of course, Storm. Solar, he's taken the gold, and it's a... Wait, is this? No, that's just 6 mineral patches, but it has double gas. And the pocket... Zealots warped into the main as many as he could. More storms. I don't think there are enough queens to really serve as anti-air here. Can pick up the Ravagers to prevent the corrosive bile counter. Adrenal Glands is done, but 9 more Zealots are warping in +2 shields. The queens are getting chased down, and Solar is routed from the field. The Zealots will hunt down the queens. The entire royal bloodline is assassinated, and right now, 3 drones down, and then also every single unit that attacked. The Phoenixes still finding value. The units lost. Disgustingly cost-effective. Reynor has outmaneuvered Solar at every turn. And there haven't been that many turns. It really just kind of turned towards Reynor, and then we just kept going that direction. Wow. He just... Yeah. Okay. Well... Reynor runs him over. He finished the game with 3,300, 1,200 in the bank, 96 drones, warping in 11 Zealots at a time. Wow. That's about as one-sided as a Mobius strip there. We got, hopefully in the next match, Solar can put a little bit more together. Wow, that was, yeah, so Ling Bane. Fun. But the thing is, especially on these new maps, some of them you just can't. Like, you just don't have a ground path. As you saw there. The natural on Stargazers effectively protects 2 bases as opposed to just 1. You have that pocket base, so. No pocket base here, though. We're on Data C. Seems to be the popular choice that nobody vetoes of the new map pool. Reynor, a commanding performance. And he was having fun with it, it felt like. Slapping down a pylon and putting 8 gateways around it. 7 or 8? Something like that. I think the max you can fit is like 15, but only if you're trying to be geometrically perfect. I thought, well, I guess the Phoenix build is a little... It is one of those cards you pull out every now and again. If you use it too many times, then your opponents kind of have it in the back of their mind. But even though, honestly, in hindsight, quite an obvious play. It's a vertical map. What do I mean by that? It means the main base is... I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but the air distances are closest. And you essentially expand away from your opponent rather than towards them. Like, if you notice Data C, it isn't explicitly towards your opponent, but it definitely is closer as time gets on and the bases get more vulnerable. Whereas those maps like Blackburn, Stargazers, all started with Scrap Station and went downhill from there. Those are the ones that favor those heavy air plays especially. Alright. I don't think Solar... maybe we'll see some Overlord speed. Now, to be a little cynical about Overlord speed, I'm going to quote Scarlett, who essentially described Overlord speed as the most expensive way to figure out you need to continue building queens. Now, there occasionally you'll find information like that second Stargate in a timely manner, in which case, yeah, you continue building queens and probably some more spores and stuff like that. But without Overlord speed, every once in a while you're going to get hit with one of those builds. And that is the toughest part of playing Zerg in the early game. Alright, Stargate is the choice yet again. Reynor with everything, like, a very capable defense. There's nothing to point at and be like, well, I guess he just kind of cheesed him. Yeah, he did a bit of a cheesy timing, but he backed it up with incredibly solid macro. And then we saw that mass gateway style at the end. I mean, I was hoping for some more back and forth. As a commentator, you always want to see a bit more of a roller coaster, but it is fun to see. And also, I learned a lot. One, in the new map pool, there are several maps with those pocket bases, so we could be seeing a resurgence of the mass Phoenix style. Two, Ling Baneling, still not great. Not on its own. Needs those Ravagers are a very key point of breaking force field and defenses. Oracle, Crab Beetle, Zerglings, Probe. Bingo. Oh. Overlord wanders in. Actually, kind of... It's going to be a multi-Oracle, a Moracle build here. We'll see if he goes for the Plethoracles and gets a third. A Hero Esto. Thank you, by the way, map makers. In this previous map pool, the one we still have on the ladder. Bobby, please. There are a lot of, especially queening bots, are the main offenders, okay? It seems the map makers in this new set of maps took a much larger effort in keeping the critters from being incredibly annoying and dying when every pro player kills them as soon as possible. Oh my god, the drone kills. Jimmy, the drone kill counter broke. He's killing them too fast. Oh my god, that it's beautiful back here. But anyways. 10 drones. Loses an Oracle, so not ideal. So not perfect. But pretty damn close. 10 drones at this stage. I go on and on about one of the least exciting things in all of StarCraft, which is explaining tournament format. No. Larva management. Larva management. Where other races like Protoss has Warpins, Chrono Boost, Terran has their production. Larva management is the most difficult macro mechanic in the game. I don't think this is in doubt, because every larva could become a drone or anything else. And if you're not managing your larva well, if you're, one, constantly injecting, but two, using the natural regen rate of the hatches. This is the difference between even like a Solar and a Serral in how efficiently they use that larva. And what is this leading to? This is leading to, if you have this pinpoint, like, airtight build, and then you just lose 10 drones, that can throw everything off. Now you're just, for multiple larva cycles, behind. Especially when Reynor moving out here, Reynor understands this. He's moving out with what looks to be a relatively tiny army. But it's not to do damage. This is to force Solar to build Zerglings. It's to force him not to build like 80 drones and get whatever he wants. No, keep control of the creep is objective 1. But objective 2, in a strong secondary, is forcing units out, especially Zerglings, from this larva, which is also helps to limit Solar in the later game. And of course, Reynor knows he has recall. He will likely recall after killing the hatch here in a moment. Now, one more volley. He's still just fighting it out. It was actually... he's gonna lose all the stalkers. Okay. It's got a little out of hand. The queen's also closing in. Reynor learning that that Stalkers maybe... I think there was a moment to recall there, but how many times have we seen a recall and then all but 2 units die? And I think he wanted to avoid that. 69 workers apiece, at least for now. So Reynor does lose 10 Stalkers, which so far Solar has not built any units with gas, so he hasn't had the opportunity to lose them. He's building a few more now. And by that I mean rallying in 13 Banelings into Reynor's third base. Bane speed is not done. Just gonna bust right through the pylons, but that'll be the alarm bells sounded. And the probes will retreat in time. In the main, another Oracle. Charge. The gateway explosion. Going up to 10 gates. And counting. Adding staggered defenses at the third. So Solar, not gonna die outright. Delaying the fourth. As well as killing that entire force earlier. I think Reynor had the right idea. He killed the base, he controlled the drone count, he forced out units, but then he kind of lost a bunch of his own. And that ends up balancing things out somewhat. And now Solar's hit that production explosion where he has multiple hatches of larvae. And he's able to get to 80 drones as well as 69 army supply. And counting. I am interested to see. I guess it's partially because of a reliance on Blink Stalkers and Archons, but the shield upgrade is prioritized by Reynor, which almost every Protoss has kind of decided, you know what we're doing? We're doing armor. And honestly, I was in that camp too. But the shield upgrade applies to all units and buildings, giving them +1 shield armor, which works like armor, but for shields, which have default 0. So... is this the new meta? Has Reynor figured it out? I think it works. Oh, is that a House Archon? Oh my god. I stand God. I literally can't go anywhere else. We've all been there. Did he really morph an Archon behind his pylons? How else did it get here? Who knows with these things? The cannons are coming up. He's expecting a wave of attacks from Solar, and he's correct. The hive just now starting. Solar is maxed, and Reynor must hold the defense. Roaches, Lings, Banelings, oh my, and even the Queen's coming up. Corrosive Biles land and knock down an Archon. The Housecon. Now, these batteries, and this is why you want to stagger your defenses. Reynor not sticking to that staggered defense rule. And his Archons can't actually... Oh my god, the traffic jams. If Archons weren't so, as they say, dummy thick, the Queens are like, how dare you, okay? No, we're talking about Archons, Brenda, simmer down. And you know what's better than 11 gateways? You know what the right number is, as we found in both these games? 17. The 17 gate timing. That's the one. A lot of people sleep on the 17 gate timing, but not me and not Reynor. Interesting. This seems like one of those things that's mostly accidental, that it's the same number as last game, but Reynor would very happily claim he planned it. Alright, I don't believe you. Okay, like 16 to 20 gates, that's the number, but it happened to be 17. Ultralisk Cavern on the way. Which, against this mostly ground-based army that's relatively heavy on Zealot Stalker, Ultralisks do chew through gateway units quite well. Archons aren't even particularly amazing because the splash damage is mitigated by the ginormous girth of the Ultralisks. A lot of geometry lessons here today when it comes to the unit radii. The Zealots trying to hold. The Archon, unfortunately, still stuck in between the pylons. The Archon, he's got 8 Archons right now. Oh my god. Reynor just... I have no... It's just mostly Archon. Zealots from the back, gonna distract some of this. The Banelings redirect to hit them. Reynor's winning the fight? That Zealot flank really threw things out of whack for Solar. Wow, 5 oracles. He's just kind of been building them. And there's limited anti-air. There's no Spire. Ultralisk can't shoot up. Maybe headbutt him. Chitinous plating on the way. Supply is still near max. Reynor's at 96 probes, which is actually likely too many to be at, like, that is pushing it, as his army supply is maxed out at about 100. So once again, Reynor a little too Zerg here. I don't know if he even realizes that's why his army doesn't really, like, another 20 army supply is 10 more Zealots that could be flanking anywhere. Unlikely to be helpful in the main army, but the Ultras show up. The Queen's in position to transfuse. Chitinous plating doesn't help against the Oracles, though, because they do spell damage. +3 shields on the way. Attack on the left flank. Roaches. Shield battery overcharged. Trying to hold the line. Zealots everywhere. Ultras coming back. Archons coming back. A confusing and chaotic base trade. Archons going forward. Ultras chopping through. Oracles targeted down. Another Archon down. More. Only 2 left. Zealots. Archon, Zealots of the main, 140 to 130, both sides plummeting, 4 Ultralists in production. Solar losing a lot of drones. Oh my, he's still losing drones. He's lost 30 drones, 400 Zerglings in 14 minutes. Oh my god. There's burrowed lings in the mineral, and unfortunately those aren't Banes. He unburrows them. He didn't actually see him there before. And when the smoke clears, Reynor is the clear victor. It was hard to tell throughout that, but 95 probes and adding more. 180 supply. Ultras are retreating against Archons, which is not canon. By the way, I've watched the Legacy of the Void cinematic. At what point do we grab the Ultralisk and teleport it out? Overall, while Reynor loses a bit more, these trades, once again, Reynor is playing, he's got his Zealotlings and his Archon Lisks against the Ultras and the Zerglings. And the thing is, these +2 and soon to be +3 shield units, they're just gonna do better. There's nothing here that Solar has that's more efficient. The Oracles are uncontested. They're burning through the Chitinous plating. And also, what a play, by the way. Just continued Oracle production. It makes sense. It's one of those things that, like, you theory craft is a good idea. A good recall here. Exactly the right amount. Solar's struggling. He's trying to rebuild drones. Imagine how demoralizing it would be to see Reynor. Like, if you could see Reynor's worker count. Reynor is in full command of this game. Solar's not out of it yet, but he's still just building Zerglings and Banelings. He's already lost 500 Zerglings. He's lost 6 Ultras, 30 Banelings. Got an observer with the armies. He's playing Zerg Protoss right now, and Solar is not keeping up. Solar doing his best Reynor impression. 600 APM. Hitting 4 digits at times here, building those Zerglings. Not enough. Banelings connect. Knock some probes into the skies, which actually I think helps Reynor. As now he can fill in the... He reflexively builds more probes anyways. Few Zealots split off. Solar manages to keep the Banelings from detonating. And Solar's nearly maxed out again. Solar's best shot is a big, decisive fight where he can catapult himself into Reynor's bases and take him out. Like, he wins the fight and he takes out 2-3 key bases, at least. Because economically, he's struggling. Thing is, though, Reynor's actually splitting his army. He's bringing Immortals and Archons. on both sides. These are both incredibly difficult armies to beat. Yeah, Immortal Banelings are not a great counter to Immortal Archon. Ultras just pop like a particularly oversized angry balloon. And Reynor is your victor 2-0 over Solar. And it just, like, he just kind of walks over, he walks up and he just punches him in the face with some Immortals. I mean, 20 Archons died, 600 Zerglings, over 60k resources lost in just 17 minutes. But Reynor, he had his number. Wow. It's so clear Reynor plays with Zealotlings and Archonlisks. I was hoping Solar would give me some insight on how to deal with that. But Reynor was just, his power was overwhelming. An exciting series, but quite one-sided. Besides a few little mistakes, Reynor looking completely capable. A world-class Protoss. Is Reynor the best European Protoss? Other inflammatory questions? Leave a comment. Check out these videos. I'm going to have a playlist of all the Dreamhack Valencia highlights. Hopefully you check it out. And hopefully I made your day a little bit better. Thank you to ESL, and thank you for watching. Good luck, have fun. Check them out, and stay chill. I'll see you next time.